The show hits us off with another surprise pick. Forget the Watchmen. They should rename this the Men. Welcome to Morning Reflections. I am your host, the Fat Mantis, and we need to get into this. And I don't mean analyzing whether Abdul Mateen really has a package so long. I mean analyzing the penultimate episode of The Watchmen, episode 8. A god walks into a bar. Now this was a beautifully crafted piece of television, very memorable. It's going to stick with us for a while. Even when they do parts of The Watchmen which aren't absolutely amazing, like story elements that we're not into, they always make memorable television, and they always do interesting aspects of narration, which I am really into. So it all starts off with, ultimately they go into classic storytelling, which is a love story. And there isn't a lot of love stories going on. I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about? There's Twilight, there's the S&M one, whatever. 50 Shades of Grey. There's a ton of these love stories, but they're not well crafted, and that is what the modern age. It's almost as if storytellers have lost the fine art of a love story, and it has returned here, of all places, in The Watchmen, and of all characters, with Dr. Manhattan. Now, Dr. Manhattan has always had relationships. As a matter of fact, one of his main character arcs is that he has a predilection for younger women. Although being a serial monogamist, he always has a girlfriend, and he trades them as soon as they get too old. And for a new younger model, which this continues, that was still, even though he is kind of like a rotten person at heart, it was a believable, loving love story that at the end, broke my heart. They used the same narration track as they did in a lot of the other Watchmen material, particularly the Mars scene, which we found in the graphic novel or the film adaptation, where Dr. Manhattan jumps from time to time. He is in one moment and then he is in the next, or he is in all of them simultaneously. And he tries to tell us, the viewer, or other people around him about it, and it's just hard to articulate. So it sounds like the ravings of a madman. I really thought the dialogue was really good. The dialogue was so good between them. It was fascinating. It kept me sort of, I was like, how is he gonna bag this chick? How is this gonna happen? Is Dr. Manhattan really that smooth? I'm not sure, but I needed to keep watching to find out. It finally comes to a part that I didn't love per se, but because he can create one of those terrariums anywhere in the galaxy, in the universe, anywhere, he could have put it in the heart of a star, and I'm sure he's powerful enough to maintain that. Why Europa makes no sense. Now, scientifically speaking, Europa is the most likely place to actually have a life in this solar system, because what it is it's frozen oceans, and the ice layer protects the water underneath it and creates warmer. Normally it's like minus 300 degrees there, but the water would be warmer because it's insulated from the layers of ice on top. So scientifically speaking, we are constantly looking at Europa because we believe that life could naturally generate there. But why Dr. Manhattan would choose to create life there, it seems completely pointless. It's almost as if they just, for whatever reason, didn't want to use Mars, or something he was already connected to. Next, there was an arbitrariness to who Dr. Phillips and Mrs. Crookshank's inspiration was. We have been speculating constantly about who they could be. Who are the faces of these people that he wants to clone over and over again? Who are these people? They could have been anyone. They could have been the true him and Janie Slater. They could have been him and a young Laurie. They could have literally been anyone, and it would have made more sense than two randos that he met as a child for a brief moment. It reminds him of his first sexual experience. I'm really not buying that. It was not well done. Although I am glad that it's finally been answered. I was just hoping that it would have more things. People even speculate it might have been one of their old villain couples of Marionette and Mime. But once again, it didn't go anywhere. So that was something I didn't love about it, although I loved the scenes of him creating life. And the episode even got even better once he got into the body of Calvin Abar. Once he actually became Cal, and he could drop the fake accent, or whatever I think they may have been digitally altering his voice, but they tried to make his voice, he put on the actor put on his white voice for the part of Dr. Manhattan, which when they weren't showing his face and he's wearing the mask and they made sure to have dinner, and even when he takes off his mask, they don't show us his face. I really thought that was well done. When he was finally able to drop that and just be himself and not be in makeup, it was when he was a shining star, and he did an amazing job, which leads us to my favorite scene when he goes up to Karnak to visit Ozymandias. Now, this is a show called The Watchmen. It is about the Watchmen, and it takes place 30 years after the graphic novel. The six members of the Watchmen, they've shown us 4 of them, and yet none of them have had scenes together. And this is the first time that we will get to watch 2 of the original Watchmen from 1985 get together after it's been like 30 years, or in this case, it was 25 years when he met up with them. And I thought it was just an amazing scene to show Ozymandias. He's broken and he's hiding around, like, he's almost like Lestat from Interview with a Vampire, that he's been sitting in his lair. He's wearing clothes from the olden days with the rolled up sleeves on the jacket, and it looks like he's ready to go to a club in the 80s. So he hasn't talked to anyone or moved on with his life. He's just been looking at these TVs and orchestrating, controlling the lives of humans. And they've always had a very complicated, but very respectful, very loving relationship between the 2 men. In Dr. Manhattan's own words, Ozymandias was the only member of the Watchmen that he could actually speak to. So they're talking, and I love the whole setup where he's telling him, well, you're looking for utopia? I happen to have a utopia. Oh, well, you're looking to get with your girlfriend and not remember yourself? Because I actually have that answer there. And they do a trade of sorts. But it was lovely. And also, if you notice, it is actually Ozymandias who's doing the false flag. Not the government, but Ozymandias is personally teleporting rains of squids across the globe to keep people scared of interdimensional squid attacks. I thought that was very interesting. We now have the answer of what's going on with Europa and why he's in Europa. I think that it firmly plants what his message says. I believe that his message says, save me, daughter. I think that D is definitely daughter. I think that it's clear that if Dr. Manhattan had amnesia, he's not looking at Europa or checking satellites. He's in La La Land with his girlfriend. The only person who would have connection to these things would be his daughter, who we all are speculating is Lady True. This episode didn't have a lot to conspiracize about because it's about to end. One of the major things I can't stand that they haven't done yet is who is Loopman. I know we all know it's Petey, but we don't know it's Petey. I just think there should be more scenes with Loopman, or maybe there's waiting for season 2 to get more into Loopman. Will Loopman eventually become a major player in the Watchmen universe? Perhaps the most skilled, greatest agent ever? Who knows? But I am curious to find out. So we finally get to see Dr. Manhattan raise, and he kept the face of Yahya Abdul-Mateen, the actor, and he's in there. And I think they made a huge critical mistake. Now, in the comic book and then later on the film adaptation, Dr. Manhattan has always been depicted not only as a man with blue skin, but he has always had the raccoon dark spots under his eyes and all white eyes. And at no point does he ever give himself pupils or anything like that. And that completes that look of this alien creature that he was once human and he is no longer human, definitively. They chose not to put the raccoon darkness under his eyes, or they kept his normal eyes, and it looked like it was a bad makeup job. It did not work for me. He looked really silly. I wish someone could just digitally alter that footage, because they're great scenes of him walking on water and dealing with his family, trying to make food or whatnot, and all these crazy things. And then eventually he's blowing up cavalry members left and right. Loved that part of it. I love to see white supremacists get blown up, but I don't understand the costume designer's picks for that. I would even say that the glow that they gave him was not very realistic. I think the performance of Billy Crudup and also the special effects of the movie from a decade ago, 2009, was a way better representation of Dr. Manhattan. I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen, but I just kind of wish that the makeup job had been better. I don't know what they were thinking or why they altered it. I think they were trying to relay a sense of humanity, that he used to not have humanity, but now that he has Angela in his life, he has humanity, so they're going to give him eyes, but it was a fail across the board. It looked like somebody was trying to do albino makeup and just messed it up. A very fun thing is, I don't know if you stuck around, but there were end credit scenes. And we've got Ozymandias finally finally looking into his cake, and he gets a horseshoe, and the horseshoe has purpose. Now, I don't know if any of you remember, but Mr. Phillips has constantly been handing him a horseshoe, and he's like, I don't need a horseshoe. Why do you give me a horseshoe? It makes no sense, and it's almost as if Dr. Manhattan bestowed these creatures with precognitive abilities as well. That's right, I said it. I don't think it's going to be a major thing other than use now, but I think it's possible that he gifted them with like the potential to be him, and they have psychically known that their master would eventually need a horseshoe. I thought it was finally pays off. We were ignoring it this whole time, and I loved that he will get his escape. Now, within terms of the timeline, I'm assuming that Ozymandias maybe in some sort of escape shuttle or something, a bubble or something like that. His escape is what will land in the cornfield in the episode where Lady True buys the farm. And I really think that everything we've been watching, if he started out in 2009, he is yet to catch up with the rest of the show. We've got one episode left, and we're going to see it happen. It is possible that if Lady True rescued him a few years ago, he has been behind the scenes this whole time. Maybe Ozymandias is Lady True's puppet master. It's his daughter, his loving daughter, but she's the front man, and he's hiding in the back, as usual, because he has a predilection for being evil. So that is what I've got for you right now. What did you guys think of this episode? I almost cried. I thought it was beautiful. I really enjoyed the romance. They really put so much depth in it, and I really hope they don't kill Dr. Manhattan. I am praying they don't kill Dr. Manhattan. He just came back to us. I want to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen remain Dr. Manhattan. Please don't die, Doctor. We need you, brother. What do you guys think? What did you think of this makeup job, which was all over the place? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Remember to have a Merry Christmas. Keep it real, and we will be in touch. Ciao for now, bitches.